So here's a twist in the iPhone 17 Pro story that I don't think many people saw coming. We've just had new images leak online that show Apple may not be completely ready to switch the SIM tray worldwide. That's right, despite Apple's push towards eSIM iPhones in the US since the iPhone 14, and reports suggesting that even more countries would lose the SIM tray this year, it looks like at least some regions could still see a physical slot on the iPhone 17 Pro. The leaker behind this is Majin Buu, and while he's not always 100% on the money, the pics he shared alongside the chatter on Naver adds fuel to this debate about whether Apple's going to go all in on eSIM globally or keep things split for now. Here's what's interesting though, this confusion only applies to the Pro and base model. The new Air is so thin it can't fit a SIM tray, and so that's going to be eSIM globally, and so I reckon Apple's using that device to test the waters. If the 17A eSIM global rollout does go well, and more countries do support eSIM because Apple's forcing this upon them, then future Pro and base models could switch to eSIM completely. But for the time being, I think non-US base and Pro phones are going to retain the SIM tray. Maybe Europe and Canada could go eSIM only, because most carriers do support eSIMs here, but I'm sure there's large parts of the world that still rely on physical SIMs. Now let's move on to internal component photos of the 17 Pro, showing a brand new L-shaped battery, complete with a steel casing, different regional variants, and a redesigned motherboard layout. Let's delve in. Leaker Majin Buu, who has a mixed track record, was recently sent exclusive images of the 17 Pro battery, and they confirmed some massive changes coming to Apple's next flagship. The battery has a bold L shape similar to past Pro models, but this time it's wrapped in a steel shell, just like the one introduced with the iPhone 16, only more advanced. Why steel? Because it offers improved heat dissipation and greater physical resistance. And what's even more intriguing and a little sus in my opinion, there are two versions of this battery, one for the US market and one for China. The US version is wider since it no longer needs to make space for a physical SIM tray. Apple went eSIM only in the US with the iPhone 14 series, but what they've been doing in previous years is just stick a piece of plastic in that space where the SIM tray is supposed to be. But this leak claims that the US model may come with a bigger battery, and I have my doubts about this. I just don't see Apple offering different batteries for different regions. I mean, for one, it's a little unfair the North American version gets a bigger battery and the rest of the world doesn't, but let's leave fairness out of the equation. From Apple's perspective, why would they do this? Surely it's cheaper and simpler for their supply chain to just be using the same battery across all iPhones globally, and that's what Apple's doing right now. They stick a piece of plastic in the US models to fill that space, but the batteries are identical to the global models. So I don't think the North American 17 Pro is going to come with a larger battery. The only aspect I think that's legit about this leak are the steel casings, and this isn't just for protection, it plays a key role in thermal management. Paired with the rumored vapor chamber cooling system for the 17 Pro, the battery setup could allow for faster charging speeds and sustain performance without overheating. There's no official word on wattage yet, but if Apple is combining steel batteries with vapor cooling, they're clearly building a next-gen thermal strategy. The motherboard layout is allegedly changing as well. In these photos, the logic board is placed horizontally across the top of the device. That's a massive internal change. It means Apple's freeing up the lower section of the phone for a larger, more optimally shaped battery, while isolating the heat-generating components towards the top of the device. This could lead to better thermals, longer battery life, and improved repairability. Speaking of which, here's the best part, the battery adhesive system is being redesigned. We saw this change with the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus last year, where they introduced a new electrically induced battery removal process, and it's now coming to the Pro models. Instead of fiddling around with pull tabs under the battery, technicians can now apply a low voltage current, like from a 9-volt battery, to loosen the adhesive, making the battery easy to remove. This method seems to require metal encased batteries, which lines up with the steel casing we're seeing in the 17 Pro, and it's not just about cooling, it's about serviceability. While the 16 Pro models did include this feature, it looks like Apple's expanding it in the 17 series, and all of this lines up with Apple's stated goal to improve iPhone repairability, especially in response to new EU regulations. So if this battery combines steel casing, advanced cooling, and an easier removal process, then the 17 Pro could be the most repair-friendly and thermally efficient Pro iPhone yet. I want to pause quickly to remind you guys to click that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 20,000 subscribers right now, so every sub would be appreciated. It's free and gives you access to all the latest Apple news. It comes right to your feed, and I'll be covering all the new iPhone 17 leaks, as well as future Apple products. So yes, it would be appreciated, thank you. Now, while this internal leak tells us the most, we did also get this classic blurry prototype sighting last week. An ex-user named Skyfops posted 2 grainy photos of someone holding an unreleased iPhone in a thick all black case, Classic Apple prototype disguise. But what made this post go viral was Mark Gurman from Bloomberg quoting it and saying, "This looks legit." So if Gurman's approving of it, then this certainly is a spicy leak. So let's break it down. In one of these images, a person wearing reflective sunglasses is seen holding an iPhone wrapped in a thick or black protective case, possibly to disguise the hardware. That's standard practice with unreleased Apple prototypes. Right beside it is another iPhone, almost definitely a 16 Pro, with a label sticker across the back. That might be Apple's internal QR code system that they use to track development units. So what's making people think this is the 17 Pro? Well, it's all about the camera module. Current leaks say the 17 Pro will introduce a rectangular rear camera housing with the LiDAR scanner, flash and microphone vertically aligned on the right side of the new module. In the blurry photo, you can just about make out circular openings in the top right of the mystery device's case, which could line up with those elements. Now this isn't proof. It could be a case manufacturer testing dummy units, or it could be an internal iPhone 16 Pro with some strange case design. But here's the thing, even if it is real, it doesn't reveal anything we haven't already heard. What it does is reinforce what's already out there: a rectangular camera bump, a shifted layout, possibly even a new frame material, and the fact that Apple's testing these units in public, that usually means these iPhones are in production, which makes sense because we are less than a month away from release. And as Skyfox cheekily added, the guy on the right was security and trying to go in front of the iPhone to hide it, allegedly. The photos were taken in Los Angeles, which isn't surprising. That's where Apple's test teams have been spotted before, so yeah. This does seem legit. Now that we've discussed the dubious reports, let's now get into what we know for sure about the iPhone 17 Pro and its siblings. And spoiler alert, there's a lot. Let's start with something Apple users have been asking forever: better displays. And not just better in terms of brightness or refresh rate, we're talking less glare, more scratch resistance, and better visibility outdoors. According to Mac Rumors, Apple's now resolved production issues around a new display layer that's going to debut in the 17 Pro and Pro Max. This new glass is said to be more scratch resistant than ceramic shields and features an anti-reflective coating similar to Gorilla Glass armor Samsung's using in its S25 Ultra. If you've ever struggled to read your iPhone in direct sunlight, this is going to be a big deal. It can make a phone not just more durable, but actually more usable in regular usage. Now, since that prototype leak did show the front of the device as well, people did try to decipher if this prototype has the anti-reflective coating, and well, if you zoom in and analyze, it does seem like there is less reflections, but it's a grainy photo, and this definitely is not the final device that will ship, so I'm unsure. I hope we do see this upgrade though. Let's pivot to performance. The 17 Pro reportedly is going to ship with the A19 Pro chipset, that's to be expected, but for the first time ever is getting 12 gigs of RAM. That's up from 8 gigs in the 16 Pro series, and it should make multitasking better and should also future-proof the device, though I'm assuming that Apple's giving us more RAM to shove more AI in our faces. The base 17 isn't getting 12 gigs of RAM, but it will ship with a respectable 8 gigs of RAM and the regular A19 chip, so not too bad. But what's more exciting is the cooling system. As I mentioned earlier, Apple's finally introducing vapor chamber cooling to the 17 Pro. Android phones have had this for years, and it allows for better thermal management, especially during gaming or 4K video recording. A leaked copper heat spreader all but confirms this. Moving to design, let's talk about bezels. According to Digital Chat Station, all 4 iPhone 17 models will feature ultra-thin bezels, as thin as the iPhone 16 Pro, which already held the records for thinnest bezels ever on an iPhone. But the big news is, the base 17 and 17 are now getting these slim bezels as well. So for the first time since the iPhone 13 series, I believe, the whole iPhone lineup will share unified front-facing design, clean, modern, and virtually all screen. I say virtually because there is, of course, the dynamic island. Screen size is also increasing slightly. The iPhone 17 and 17 Pro are both getting 6.3-inch panels, the 17 bumps up to 6.6 inches, and the Pro Max is going to be a massive 6.9 inches. What's more, the 17 and 17 Pro will likely share the same display panel. Both are going to be 6.3 inches and 120Hz, but Apple might restrict features like the always on display to the Pro once again, purely through software. That's just an Apple thing to do, but regardless, the introduction of ProMotion on the base model single-handedly makes it a much more enticing proposition for many. And finally, launch timing. Mark Gurman says Apple's targeting the week of September 8th for the iPhone 17 keynote. The most likely date is Tuesday the 9th, and that tracks with Apple's usual post-Labor Day schedule, so we're less than a month away from knowing exactly how real all these leaks and blurry prototype sightings truly are. So what do you think? Is the steel-cased, wider, smarter battery the quiet hero of the 17 Pro? Are you excited about faster charging and easier repairs? Let me know your thoughts down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. iPhone season is just getting started.